This is a government bailout for the government, and it is no less whorish and repulsive than bailing out banks and car companies. If this was an individual, if I did this and I ran this company and I did this, it would be fraud. I would go to jail. In 2009, if you don't believe me, the state's Pension Monetization Task Force said the unfunded pension liability exceeds $61 billion due to the 30 years of the state underfunding pensions and bad investment returns. Quote, ready? Not wanting to implement dramatic cuts in spending on essential services, the legislature and the various governors elected to instead divert revenue from making the required employer pension contributions to maintain services like education, health care, public safety, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de. It was required. They took the state pension and they applied it, they used it as a credit card to fund ongoing service operations. Really? Is that what they did? You and I, again, would go to jail. This is an outrage. Contribution to maintaining effectively the state used the pension systems as a credit card? What? The people who did this should go to jail. They should go to jail, because you would. Anybody run a small business? Imagine taking your pension fund and just putting it, well, we didn't want to go to business. We had essential stuff we were doing. Jail time. Now, Illinois, if your governor and everything else came out and asked permission, and you changed the law, which you didn't, then you should foot the bill. Is it my fault? Is it my fault that the people in Illinois did this? Is it your fault? I don't feel responsible for the loans the banks gave to people who shouldn't have received loans. Why am I responsible for the pensions of the unions in these states? But it's not just the states. We also have the cities now on the brink of bankruptcy. The National League of Cities says the municipal sector will likely face a shortfall between $56 billion and $83 billion from 2010 to 2012 because declining tax revenues, ongoing service demands, and cuts in state revenues. I want to show you Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Are you ready for this one? Population 48,950. It currently has a deficit of $3.8 million. It's expected to grow to $164 million. It owes $68 million in debt just this year. Why? Well, they had $288 million in guaranteed debt that it owes on a garbage incinerator. You know why they had to buy the garbage incinerator? Because the EPA said it's too dirty. So now the city's in big-time debt. They can't make this payment. Governor Rendell said he's not going to bail it out. So the city hired a consultant to figure out how to make some money. He had ideas like doubling the parking tax. That's going to be good for business downtown. Increase water rates by 20%. Take a short shower. Double sanitation fees. Increase the property taxes by 117%. The city controller wants to declare bankruptcy, but Harrisburg, the mayor, Linda Thompson, she says we're going to sell city assets. Hey, Linda, what do you have to sell that's worth millions? I mean, do you have an expensive cannon there? I mentioned earlier the Pew report, $1 trillion gap between what the states promised to pay and what they actually set aside. Now, what I didn't point out is that the report only covered fiscal 2008. What happened in the last part of 2000? Oh, I remember. Do you remember when everybody's pension, when your 401k was cut in half in the second half of 2008? What I just showed you doesn't include that yet. Back in a minute. Looking for common sense tonight. We're trying to figure out how can we not spend ourselves into oblivion? How can we make cuts that make sense? Every time you try to make a cut in a state, they say, oh my gosh, no, you can't, we're going to have to fire teachers. Really? Everybody's concerned about our educational system, right? I mean, we all have kids. Too many schools are failing their students. Our kids aren't being properly prepared for life. First of all, first responsibility of a parent is to make sure your children are getting an education that they need. We are the educators, they're the helpers. But the schools do share in that responsibility. Well, California's on fire. If we get cuts now, we will have to fire teachers. Really? According to LA Weekly, the LA superintendent has identified 1,000 bad teachers that he'd like to fire based on their performance. 1,000 teachers. But guess what? Can't. He can't fire a single one of them thanks to state laws and the teachers union. Understand this. I have no problem with unions in critical places. Like if you have employees that are being abused, you have, like coal mines. You got somebody where you just take one person out and switch them with another, you might need a union. And when there's abuse of the employees, you definitely need a union. But how about when the unions are the abusers? No, I don't think I support them. When they're keeping people who are doing a bad job in good jobs, we've got to stop. Important jobs like teaching our kids, the union has to be broken. They are breaking the back of our society. They're breaking the back of our states. In the past decade, LA Unified School District officials have spent $3.5 million trying to fire how many teachers? 7. 3.5 of the district's 33,000 teachers for poor classroom performance. 7. How many were actually fired? 4. During legal struggles that wore on an average of 5 years each. 2 of the 3 others were just paid large settlements, and 1 was reinstated. The average cost of each battle was $500,000. Excuse me. But I believe the union has lost sight of something like, oh, I don't know, where did I put those children? Educating our future generation. And it's not just California. In Queens, here in New York, there's a teacher who collects $100,000. There he is. $100,000 a year for doing nothing. He spends time in a Department of Education, they call them rubber rooms here, working on his law practice and managing 12 real estate properties worth an estimated $7.8 million. What a dirtbag. The Queens teacher, Alan Rosenfeld, hasn't set foot in a classroom for nearly a decade since he was accused in 2001 of making lewd comments to junior high school girls and staring at their butts. Yet, the department still pays him handsomely for sitting on his butt 7 hours a day. Alan, how do you sleep at night? The Department of Education can't fire him. We have to abide by the union contract. It's killing us. This is according to Ann Forte. She's a spokesperson for the Department of Education. Contrast those examples now with what's happening in Rhode Island. This is one of the poorest performing high schools in Rhode Island, and they are now planning on firing all of the teachers because they refuse to adapt to longer school days. 25 minutes longer. No, I only work 3/4 of the year. No tutoring struggling students. Absolutely not. I only have tenure. Central Falls High School Superintendent Frances Gallo. God bless you, Frances. Late last week, she announced that she was going to have no choice but to fire all 74 of the school's teachers after the Central Falls Teachers Union refused to accept her improvement plan for the school. Fire them. If the unions won't do it, fire them all. Break the back of the leech that's on our neck. In an interview with the Providence Journal, Gallo blamed the union's callous disregard for the situation for the firings, adding every teacher knew full well what would happen if they didn't agree to the proposal. Good job, Frances Gallo, you're a hero. Look, America is a society based on merit, not entitlement. You're not entitled to a job. Jobs are not in the Bill of Rights. They're responsibilities. They're duties. Before you pick up your pencil or your pen or your computer keyboard and write me a letter, because I'm going to get tons of letters from teachers singling them out, Before you write that letter saying, "Oh, I can't believe you said that about unions," ask yourself this question: how can you possibly defend these examples? You should not, but don't write a letter to me. You should be writing a letter to your teachers union saying, fire those people. I will stand with people being abused. I will stand with workers being abused. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with unions because somebody is abusing somebody else. But right now, it is the union who are the abusers. And we are the abused. Our children are abused. Our states and cities are abused. And our country is being abused.